From survival to strategy mode, let's stop winging it and build a business with structure. I am Veronica Rosa, founder of Vitality and Values Wellness, and I help women move from survival mode and into structured healing and purposeful living through mindset, money habits, and systems that actually support your life. And today, this is your invitation to detox the scarcity mindset that has kept generations of women playing small, struggling quietly, and surviving instead of thriving. But before we go deeper, I want to check in with you. Type in the comments or in the chat if you are ready. Type in ready if you are ready to break the cycle of just getting by. So let's talk about what is a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset is the inner belief that there's never enough. I have to work hard just to survive. Rest is lazy. Money slips through my fingers. If I spend, I will not have enough later. People like me just do not get ahead. So be honest with yourself. Type a one in the chat if you have ever felt any of these ways. Yeah, and that's the truth. The truth is that these beliefs they didn't start with you. They actually were passed down. And that scarcity doesn't just live in your thoughts, it lives in your habits. It's going to show up in how you shop, how you eat, and how you manage your time, and how you avoid looking at your finances. Scarcity shows up when you overspend out of anxiety or hold on to things you don't use, like when you start hoarding things, or maybe you are avoiding investing in yourself because it feels too risky. And the biggest sign of all is that you constantly feel behind. No matter how much money you make, it just feels like you feel behind. And so that means that it's not a money issue, it's a mindset pattern. So where does this begin? Let's talk about that. We all learn about money by watching the people who raised us. So this is our generational curses. Some of us saw moms doing everything and they never rest. Others saw dads who provided but were stressed out or unavailable. How about homes where we heard we can't afford that instead of let's figure it out? So, what do we learn? We learn how to survive, we learn how to stretch, we learn to make do. But we were never taught how to build wealth. So type it in the chat, learned, if you realize that some of these habits have come from what you saw or what you heard growing up. And without becoming aware of those habits, we cannot begin the healing and we begin to repeat it. We hustle, we grind, we burn out, and we just normalize just getting by. But ladies, we are not here to repeat the cycle. We are here to break the cycle. Type I am in the chat if you are ready to receive. Remember that you are allowed to budget from abundance, not fear. You are ready to rest without guilt. You can build wealth without shame. And so today we're going to go over 3 powerful shifts that's going to help you shift from budget into alignment. A budget is not restriction, it's direction. It tells your money where to go instead of asking where it went. And it gives you clarity, it gives you vision, and it gives you control. Again, type in align if you are ready to take control of your money. I want you to become a conscious woman, a conscious consumer. Before you swipe to pay, pause and ask, am I spending from emotion or am I spending from alignment? Am I buying because it's on sale or because it supports my life, health, or future? A conscious woman knows her numbers, she knows her value, and she's going to invest with intention. So type in intentional if you are ready to spend with purpose. Yeah, so let's rewrite that generational scripts that no longer serves us. Like, that's for rich people. Money doesn't grow in trees. Money is the root of all evil. So think about some of those thoughts or catchphrase that you've said, not even really thinking about it or paying attention to it. Some of those generational scripts that you were taught, and now we're going to become mindful of them. Instead of saying money is evil, we're going to shift them into, I am learning to build wealth. Money supports my purpose. How can I afford this in alignment? Instead of saying I can't afford it, ask yourself, how can I afford it? Because we're going to work smarter, not harder. And again, let's type in the comments. Let me know you're here with rewrite if you are ready to change your money story, because it all starts here in the mindset before it'll show up in your pocketbook, in your purse, in your wallet, and even in your relationships, even in your body, how you feed yourself, how you shop. So we're going to become mindful and aware of our money mindset story, and we're going to rewrite that script to a positive outlook that's breaking free from what no longer serves us. Now, here's the truth: mindset is powerful. It is powerful. Prayers are powerful, but mindset without structure will keep you stuck in the same cycle. You can believe in abundance all day and you can pray and you can have your vision board. But if your life and your business are only built on survival habits, you will still feel overwhelmed. And that's where strategy comes in. That's where systems come in. This is why I partnered with Carrie Ann, because she helps women take that vision and actually build it in a way that works. Carrie Ann, I'd love for you to share your story, and then after you share a little bit of your story with time granted, I'd like to talk about how we both came into partnerships and how you've helped me, because a lot of what we started our business as women in business as more like a survival, like I have to fake it until I make it. I have to pay the bills, and I could do, for me it was my started a nail business. I can do X amount of nails to pay the rent this week. And when I started to work with you, we shift from what's the minimum amount to creating a strategic plan and then working backwards. But before we get to that, Carrie Ann, I'd love for you to share your story, your money mindset story, and we'll just go from there.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thanks for the lovely introduction, Veronica. So I'm Carrie Ann Kroll. I am the founder and chief strategist at Kroll Consulting. I am an operations strategist. So all things operation are the things that I love, and strategy. So like Veronica said, we can have that abundance. We can make those vision boards. We can want all these things for ourselves and our business, even in our personal life as well. But if we don't have a strategy behind it, those things aren't always going to work for us. So, a little bit about me and sharing my story. So, I didn't grow up with much. So, like Veronica said, we talk about generational things that we hear, right? So, I didn't grow up with much. Not in a dramatic way, but just in a very normal, very quiet way that a lot of people will recognize. I am a Gen Xer, so I'll throw that in there. So if any of you are Gen Xers, you know how it is. You know how we grew up. We didn't have extra, so there wasn't much margin for mistakes. And, the very unspoken rules, like Veronica mentioned, is be grateful for what you have, don't ask for too much, and don't expect things to be easy. That was always don't expect it to be easy. Don't expect it to be easy. So if you had those unspoken rules in your house growing up, or you heard them from parents or grandparents, type one in the chat. Okay, yep. All right. I see you. I see you. So I'm a second generation American and first gen college student. So as a second gen American, my grandparents were immigrants. Okay, so if you grew up in a multi-generational household, had immigrant grandparents, you know that your grandparents worked hard, your parents worked hard, and the focus in our home was always just getting through what was right in front of us. And I know a lot of us every day in our personal lives, it's like, what's in front of us? I just got to get through today. And the same thing with your businesses. We spend so much time being reactive that we don't have time to work on our businesses and be proactive. We're just in them, in the weeds day to day. So when I was growing up, like planning far ahead, talking about wealth and designing long-term paths, like that was not part of the language that we had or things that we talked about. It was really just, kind of one day to the next. And, all through school, kids were talking about college and college applications and things. And I'm like, how does that even work? And it wasn't because I wasn't capable, it was because we didn't know how the systems worked, the financial aid, navigating the processes. And we figured it out because we had to. The systems aren't designed to be simple, and they weren't designed for people like us, to figure out. So I share all this not for sympathy, not because woe is me. I'm sharing this because I feel like so many of you can probably relate. And it all goes back to how you're wired to learn and operate at a very early age. And those things stay with you. I mean, it's funny. I still can hear my mom in my head or like my grandpa in my head when I'm thinking about things or making decisions, especially financial decisions like, oh, do you have the money for that? Or that's a lot of money. And it could be the smallest amount of money for something, but it's just those things that we're wired to hear and wired to feel. So when you grow up without margin, right, you learn to be resourceful, you learn to make do, you figure out things the hard way. You're not taught to assume that support exists, right? Like a safety net. What's that? And it's you're taught to be cautious about wanting more, right? Like, oh, well, that's for them, or oh, they must have money because they've done all these things and they've traveled and they've done all that. Well, no, maybe they just had a budget, or maybe they planned, but the way you're taught is like, oh, just be cautious, be cautious. So I had to unlearn a lot of those things because I naturally navigated toward the hard way. And I still do that because it's just what I do. And I do that in business too. It's like, oh, well, why would I ask someone to help me with something when I can just do it myself? So I'm sure, and that's in regular life too. Like, why would I ask my kid to help me with these things around the house when I might as well just do it myself, right? So if anyone can relate to that, type hard way in the chat. And I bet in your personal life and in your professional life, you feel that way. So if something feels easy, efficient, or supportive, part of my brain would think like, wait, that can't be right. That's too good to be true. Well, if it's not hard, something must be missing, like waiting for that other shoe to drop, just that feeling like, wait, why is this too easy? Struggle always was familiar to me, and anything that was easy felt kind of suspicious. Like, wait, why was that so easy? There must be a catch. There must be something else, like always waiting for that other shoe to drop. And it wasn't because I like hard things. Okay, you know, real talk, like I do like to problem solve and like hard things, but easy things that I made difficult. And when I work with female founders in business or, nonprofit, I see this pattern in women a lot because we're trying to do so much. We're trying to work with what we have because we don't want to spend money on a consultant or a system or ways to make things easier or hire somebody because it almost feels like, well, we're not disciplined enough to do it, or we're failing, or we just default to what feels familiar. And what feels familiar is to just load onto ourselves, right? But that shows up and it's back to that scarcity mindset that Veronica was mentioning is like, well, if I spend this money, then what if I need it down the road? Or then we get, you know, so frustrated that, well, then fine, I'm just going to spend it all. It's almost like there's no middle. And that's because we're afraid to budget for it. Right. And if we do budget for it, are we really budgeting, or do we just say, okay, I have this budget, but you still have that fear of spending it? So it's how does it show up? So we take the complicated way, right? When there's a simpler one, We do things manually even after our business has outgrown that stage. We don't hire a VA or hire someone to help us when support is available and even affordable for our business. And we're designing our business around effort, systems that take effort instead of being sustainable. So it's really difficult, and I understand it's the just getting by. It's not about becoming soft or unrealistic. It's just questioning that assumption is struggle the only trustworthy path, and it's not. So we got to change, we got to reframe, right? If it's hard, it must be real, right? Like, oh, if it's hard, like that's a real thing. To if it's aligned and effective, it really can be easier and still legitimate. And I know for some of us that's really a shift, right? So thinking bigger, thinking about scaling isn't about like chasing ease for the sake of comfort. It's allowing yourself to build in ways that reduce friction and not add to it. And I have this big philosophy of flow, not force. So many times we're forcing that sometimes if we figure out a way to change our mindset to flow and change it to like like Veronica said, abundance, but abundance with strategy. We get into that flow and we don't have that friction and we don't have that force. So I think if any of this feels familiar to any of you, there's nothing wrong with you. This is so hard to unlearn in personal life, in business life, in relationships with, a partner, and relationships with friends, and relationships with colleagues. I think these, growing up, for me without margin, and even, college and my first jobs, and where are you going to live, and whose couch are you going to sleep on, and how are you just going to get by, that stays with you. And even when you are in points where you don't need to do that, it's all a learned behavior. But learned behaviors can be changed and they can be updated with that abundance mindset paired with a strategy. And I think that's where Veronica and I work well together, because she has that just magic to make you think about abundance and your life and your value and what you can be and offer and heal and rise, which is the name of one of her amazing programs. And then I can take that and put it into a structure that can combine both and give you, what you need. So I'll pass it back over to Veronica.
Perfectly said. And that's why we have come together and built She Means Business, because together, like you said, it's like the yin and the yang. Um, I'm in my mid 40s and we come from our great grandparents and our great grandparents, right? They would have lived during the Great Depression. And so those habits were taught on to our grandparents, and our grandparents, we saw our grandparents saving foil, washing foil, folding it up, and
Right.
then finally, like, they were like, my mother was like a baby boomer. They was whoo, uh the economy was really good. It was like you work hard, you get a job, you check in, you punch out, and they had a pension, and they had like, you work hard and you make money. But nowadays it's not like that. Our economy is not like that. And you touched on a lot of truth about you know us breaking free from that generational patterns where, what, you're going to start your own business? You can't. Who do you think you are? You're not a business
Right.
owner. And that's from my mother, the woman who raised me, who birthed me, who loves me more than anybody in this world, but she had those fears. So when I first started my nail salon business, I had to cut her off. Unfortunately, like, I had to cut her off because I felt too much negativity. I felt like I know that she wasn't trying to bring me down, but I had to protect my energy and my space because I was just surviving. I was trying to figure it out. And back then, when I started my nail salon, it was about 14, 15 years ago. And prior to that, my job before that was at Great Lakes Higher Education. It was like almost like telemarketing. It wasn't telemarketing, but it was calling for student loans. But at that point, I was making 15 years ago, I was making like $22 an hour. I was like, whew, rich. Lived in a blue house and picket fence and with the husband and my son, and everything seemed really good, but I was still anxious. I was still depressed. When I was driving to work, I was just wanting to veer off to the right. And, like I had those intrusive thoughts. And it was because I wasn't living my truth. I was living a job, like just punching in, clocking out, and I wasn't using my creativity. I wasn't living a purposeful life. So when I began, it was survival mode. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna quit my job, and I quit because I had to take care. I wanted to take time to take care of my mental health, and so this is what really inspired me to do this type of work of talking about mindset and abundance, because I realized 15 years ago that a lot of it was my own. And when I was, oh, because my mom said this, and my boyfriend told me that, and my ex-husband said this, and they did this to me, and I can't do that. When because I'm Mexican or I'm Latina or because I'm a female, I had all these obstacles. And so when I began to practice mindfulness and start thinking about what does that money mindset say to me, that's when my life began to shift. And and a lot of times, one of the main reasons why absolutely love Carrie Ann is because she makes a great accountability partner. She she's not going to tell you no. Three to the what was that, I think like 3 5 years ago, between 3 to, I think it
Yeah,
was three
like 3
years
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, I think 3 years ago, I was like, Carrie Ann, I want to make $1 million selling my ebooks. And she was like, okay. Like, she didn't even like no facial expression. She was like, all right, how are we gonna do that? Let's reverse engineer. And then that's when I realized, wait, I don't have a book. How am I gonna create it? And she was like, oh, you're gonna go onto this site and you're gonna create it here. Okay, so it took me like a year to do that, to actually put it, create it, finish it, and print it. Oh, it was like a baby was birthed. I was like, I'm so happy. Now I'm gonna make my $1 million. Now what do I gotta do? And so we went back to the vision board. And I was very accustomed to creating vision boards. Very like I'd decorate a whole wall with my vision board. But if it wasn't like a necessity, because when I first started creating vision boards, I was divorced, I was lonely. I had to fend for myself. So it was just like, I need to make X, the 2005, whatever it was, this month to pay the rent. And that was like my minimum. And so I was like, playing small, and, barely giving a lot of my services away for free. Didn't want to upcharge and all that. But and then when I got married and I had a provider, oh, I was like in fairy la la land, creating vision boards, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And and one time my husband said, he said it in Spanish, but he said, stop. In other words, he was like, stop praying and get to work. And that kind of like triggered me. And I was like, wow, because my grandma was very Catholic, very always on her knees praying and praying. But my grandma was very submissive. And so these are also habits that we learn from our caretakers, especially women. Shut up, don't say anything. That's what, women, you have to play small and let the man take care of it. And so I had to break free from a lot of these mindsets. And that's what I mean, is that money mindset will show up in other areas of your life, in the partner that you pick, in the food that you eat. When my husband said that, stop praying more, and or like stop visualizing, manifesting, and because I was like, money come to me in abundance 3 times 3, I would like chant stuff like that. And the funny thing is that it worked, because you know what? I didn't just do that vision board when he was like, well, do something, like go get a job. First, he told me go get a job. And I was like, oh, how dare you? I'm not going to go get a job at McDonald's. He told me go get a job at McDonald's. Not, no shade to that. But like my vision was going this way. And he's telling me, no, go minimize yourself and get a job, go clock in, clock out. And so instead of going and getting a job, I started investing in myself. It was one of the first times that I went on an online course. And from there, I began to use my time wisely. So then I began to create a structure where I was okay. Oh, what I need to do? I want to get a certificate. So I realized from 12 to 1, I'm available. Usually I'm like sleeping, watching, hanging out with my friends, watching TV, just wasting my time. And so I began to become more structured and using my time wisely. And that 1 hour, that one power hour that I was using to learn systems, to learn how to gain the confidence, to get a certificate. Then I, reconnected with Carrie Ann because I've known Carrie Ann for about 14 years. I wish I would have had the confidence and knew exactly what she did back when I had my nail salon, because when I was doing my nail salon, I was just surviving. I was too scared to ask for help. I was too embarrassed to ask for help. I was like faking it. And then, no, I can't. I'm a business, and a lot of it came because of my mom would say, "Who do you think you are? You're not a business woman." And so then I was like, I can't. I have to pretend and act like it's real. But if I would have had a powerful uh support system like I do now, whew, that business it probably still would be open work under somebody else managing it. But everything happens for a reason, and all of those little obstacles that I went through in my life has led me to here, where it really inspired me to empower other women, to support other women. My nail salon was more than a nail salon. It was a woman's hub. And this is what I'm trying to create here with She Means Business, is help other women rise from that money mindset, whether it stems from our caretakers, our parents saying, "Oh, you can't do that, you're a female, you're a girl," or you get married and you have them support you, or whatever that mindset is. I want you to tap into what is that money story that's blocking you from being able to blossom into what that inner child wants to become, so that you're living a more purposeful life. So when I started to take those small little steps, that 1 hour where I started to take the course, and then okay, I learned that. And then I use that same hour to I fill it in with the next step. Okay, now what do I gotta do? Now what do I gotta do? Until I came to where Carrie Ann and I reconnect, and I was like, okay, Carrie Ann, I'm here. I have all this knowledge that I want to share with other women. And how do I do that? I want to make $1 million in a year. And she was like, she didn't say that's not possible. Like, okay, let's reverse engineer it. And I have other businesses. I'm not just the founder of Vitality and Values Wellness. I'm also the president of Elevator Fast Solutions, where we work in the elevator industry. We install new elevators, and we travel all over the United States. And so actually, the help that I got from Carrie Ann, thinking it was going to help me with this business, it goes into other areas in your life. It showed up in, because now I was like, when I first, I'm like, I'm gonna invest. Since I had first learned how to invest in a course, an online course, I was like, okay, I learned, I got the certificate. Now, okay, it's like a muscle. I built the muscle. Oh, I paid for something for myself. Hey, Carrie Ann, you do this? Oh, let me pay you to help me to coach me for these next 3 months. So I paid for her to coach me. Then I was able to produce a book. Oh, now Carrie Ann, now what do I do? And each year I'm getting closer and closer to closing that gap. But by doing that work, working on myself, it's bled into other areas of my life. In my relationship, it showed up with my husband. He in my self-respect, my self-discipline, because I'm like, nope, I have to do this power hour today, right now. And so that also will trigger respect from other people. What maybe at one point they were used to me being hanging out and doing whatever. When I started setting boundaries and saying no, I'm going to invest in myself, that triggered others to respect me. And so then that triggers into and how you walk, how you show up in life, how you eat. And then before you know it, I'm close to that $1 million, not in the one business I thought I was, but in the other business because it bled into other areas in my life. And so this is the power of investing in yourself. Even if you think, oh, what's the point? Just take one thing that you want to build on. So you want to build a business, you have to set boundaries and cut off anyone who may be naysaying, making you feel like it's not possible, and become part of a group, a support group who is going to uplift you and show you the roads. And that's what Carrie Ann and I are doing through She Means Business. Is like, what is it that you want to do? How can you live a more purposeful life? Maybe it's not money, but maybe living a more purposeful life is that you're building a business that supports itself and you can do whatever you want, giving you freedom,
Hmm.
you know? And
Yeah, I
so
think freedom is a big thing, and that was, part of it for me. But just to piggyback on what you said about supporting each other, like women supporting women, Veronica and I have known each other for a long time,
yeah,
and we've known each other at various different stages in our lives. And
right,
so being able to be at this place in our lives with each other was maybe not on either of our vision boards. Like,
right, no,
so it's really it's really really interesting, and I think it's powerful to be able to use our gifts. Our gifts are very different, but they
mhm,
complement each other
absolutely,
in a way that we can work together to support each other and support other people. And I think that's so important. So many times I know I was in corporate for a long time, and it was very much, sharp elbows with women. Like,
mhm,
you are going to
mhm,
be fighting other women. It's going to be pushing them out of the way if you want to get further, all those things. And I think we're starting to see that shift,
absolutely,
with female leaders, with women founders, with, nonprofits that are coming, even in the turmoil that the whole world is in right now. I think we're starting to see that shift, and I think that's so important. And I'm so proud of you for where you are, and realizing that. But that amazing gift that you have for sharing it with other people, and helping me in the piece of realizing, like, I mean, hey, I mean, she'll be the first to call me out, like, you're doing too much, to realize what I want. And for like she said, it's maybe not always about money. It's maybe about freedom. It's maybe about, being able to be present for your family, for your friends, for yourself, to be able to do the things you want to do for yourself. If it's like, I just want to go to the gym every day, or I
right,
just want to read a book every day,
right.
and having the time to do that. And it sounds like, well, everybody should just have an hour or half hour to do that. No, sometimes we don't, so.
Especially in this time of life where it's very negative, it's we're really drained. Our food system has taken, we don't realize this, but our food system convenience. We have turned in our power for convenience, and that convenience it's making us more tired and lethargic, and we watch our social medias, and we get discouraged. And so that is why this support group is very empowering, because it is a place where we're going to uplift you, where we're going to say it is possible. How can we do that? Now that's reverse engineer. Maybe not happen overnight as I thought it was going to happen, but if you stay consistent to the systems and the structure, the accumulation of that structure is what all of a sudden one day was like, bam, it's there. And then you're bored again because you're like, oh, and that's the part, and that is the thing about building a business. Maybe is we're not here we weren't born just to pay bills and to survive. We were born to build, to bloom, to break cycles, but we forgot all of that. And that's where I come in to remind you. And Carrie Ann comes in to like help usher us into to that structure and teach us different systems of, oh, you can do this, automations, you can do that. And then before you know it, I mean, if this is what your dream is that before you know it, we're on the beach having fun, making money off of our automations. Like that's the end goal for me. And I know it's possible now. I know that with Carrie Ann's help, by minute, day by day, as much as you have to. I mean, I carry like stones as like reminders of myself throughout my healing rise journey of healing from emotional trauma to rising into the powerful woman I was born to be. And a lot of it was by setting those boundaries. So a lot of it is saying, okay, this is my vision. I want a business, and not letting anybody say, no, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? Supporting yourself with women who have been there, who know, who can show you, and who are going to like uplift you, not be jealous of you, trying to, and it happens. Your best of friends and your family are like the first ones who are not going to support you. So then you feel discouraged. And so that's what we're trying to build here with this support group with She Means Business, so that between me being your cheerleader and Carrie Ann saying, okay, this is the system, this is how we're going to get it done, you're going to make it happen.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks everyone for being here. Do you have anything else to add, Veronica, to close us out?
No, I just wanted to say that, we're not just here to hear information. We're here to gain awareness. And awareness is where it begins. Awareness without action is what keeps us in the same cycle. So if something clicked with you, if you felt seen, if you felt heard, if you realize I've been operating out of survival mode, this is your moment to choose differently. And you just type in the chat, in the comments, I am ready. If you're ready to stop just getting by, let us know in the chats, I'm ready, because this is your next level where you are required to rewrite that story, create new habits, create new structures, and have a new support team. If you're realizing I need help with my money habits and healing my relationships with abundance, this is where I, Veronica Rosa, help support you through my Heal and Rise. And there's my website, vitalityvalues.com. You can go on there and learn about more of my services. And if you are realizing I need structure, I need systems, I need a real plan for my business, this is where Carrie Ann comes in. And if you're sitting here thinking, well, I need both, that's exactly why we created She Means Business, so that we can both help you succeed. We do invite you to our next class, our next session, April 23rd, where we stop feeling guilty about investing in ourselves. That was a big shift for me. So, like I said, at first it was like my husband said, oh, stop doing vision boards and get to work. And I was like, well, instead of going to work, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to buy something, a tool that's going to help me get closer to that. And then I was like, oh, that felt good investing in myself. Before I wouldn't even buy me a nice meal, like 99 cent McDonald's drive through. And so I've learned to invest in organic foods and coaches and all that. So it is baby steps. We learn and we start growing step by step. And so the next class is April 23rd, or the next webinar is April 23rd, Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to go over how to stop feeling guilty about investing in yourself. Yeah, anything else that you want to
Sounds
add, Carrie
great.
Ann?
No, thank you so much, Veronica, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Yes, thank you for joining. Before we sign off, I do want to remind you that you do not need to hustle. You need to move with intention. So becoming more mindful, you need support. And most importantly, you need to believe that you are worth more. Powerful affirmations are very important to me. We're going to close off with 3 powerful affirmations. So put your eyes on the prize. You are the prize, girlfriend. Look at yourself in the mirror. And I don't want you just to say it. I want you to feel it from the core of your belly and say, I release the belief that I always have to struggle. I release the belief that I always have to struggle. I am building generational wealth, one healed habit at a time. I am building generational wealth, one healed habit at a time. I am grateful for what I have and excited for what's coming. I am grateful for what I have and excited for what's coming. And with that, we sign off and we'll see you at the next She Means Business Power Hour. Bye.